All right. Good
Whoa.
evening. Whoa. Hello. Are you all right?
I'm okay. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Normally I have you like this, Jody. And
Oh, I see. Well, that's okay. I'd rather share the spotlight with the rest of you anyway. But anyway, this is, of course, the Orville rewatch series. We're going to be discussing season 2, episode 12, Sanctuary, which I probably one of my favorite episodes now, especially after seeing it the second time. But we'll get all your opinions in a minute. But, I'm the host, so I get to talk first. But anyway, that's about it. But anyway, enough with me. Let's talk about the man with the stash. That's, of course, the man, Mr. Millard himself, Kevin Millard.
Half of the dynamic duo, the Maidlards.
The Maidlards, yes.
Team Millard champions.
Team Maidlard champions. And, of course, we can't forget the producer, who will always be a champ in all of our hearts. That's, of course, is Dave Mater.
Well, thank you, Jody. But I don't hold a flame to Dolly Parton.
That's true.
That's true. I only can aspire to.
I wasn't going to be that rude, but there is only one person on this panel that does hold a flame to Dolly Parton, and that, of course, is Adam Woodward.
Well, thank you. Me and Jolene, we got it.
And in what? How many minutes do we got left, Kevin?
What?
How many minutes do we got left?
48.
48 minutes before we no longer
Adam.
understand what Adam's saying.
Adam has an actual counter.
The countdown is on.
We should actually have a counter in the corner. Time to Adam losing his internet.
Times it. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, of course, as I said, we are talking about the Orville Season 2, Episode 12, Sanctuary. Gentlemen, this is a ride, in my opinion. But my opinion really doesn't make that much of a difference anyway. So let's talk to Kevin. Kevin, what do you think of this episode?
Oh, I love this episode. I love the Clyden and Bortus stuff. Like that they're like, I think Bortus is about to stab him in the heart. Like,
well, we know that's a normal thing.
Yeah. And, but I love all these Mocklin episodes where we're talking about their society and how they fit into the Union. I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I really enjoy this kind of stuff.
All right. And of course, Dave, what are you thinking?
Pretty great episode. It's got a little bit of everything, and it's very Star Trek here. It's directed by Jonathan Frakes. It's written by Joe Menosky, who also wrote Darmok and
has tons of Star Trek guests in it.
Yeah, it's got Marina Sirtis. It's got Tony Todd. It's got an amazing morality tale. It's got action. It's got some amazing special effects and visuals. There's a lot to say about this episode.
A lot to digest for sure. But guys, our opinions are good, but they're not as good as the man who compares to Dolly Parton, and that, of course, is Adam. How do you feel?
I like the other guys. I really enjoyed it. Kevin, you referenced Clyden. I have to tell you, Clyden's great for comic relief, but when he talks morale, like you take last week's episode when he's smoking the cigarettes, that was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, and I can't remember the episode we did a couple of weeks ago. He's just, you want him off the show.
Yeah, to me, he's very positive and negative all in one. Like he's like one episode you got him and you're just like, he's a lovable champ, and then the next episode is like, wow, this guy's a total dick, and I just want to kill him.
I mean, when you got into the relationship this episode a little bit, and Bortus was talking about him never leaving the quarters and never engaging with the crew members.
Yeah.
Like, what does he do?
Sits around all day, from what I understand.
Smoke cigarettes.
And probably smoke cigarettes.
I guess whatever helps Topa with homework, maybe, or something like that.
Well,
but
as far as I can tell, he just fills Topa's heads full of lies. But past that, I don't know what else he does.
Yeah. I agree that, like you go from like last episode where, Clyde, he's kind of likable, and then you hate him again, in this episode, right? And it's I think that the actor is great, and I think that the part I'm struggling with, I guess, is why this relationship with Bortus continues, because I feel like that in the episode, like they have these words in like the mess hall, but there's no kind of resolution within the episode itself to that, right? And you're like, okay, so did Bortus and him just kind of go back on their merry way, or try to get back into a routine, or because it feels irreconcilable to me. But
the sex change episode with Topa, even at the end of that, we didn't really have much in the ways of an ending. It just kind of ended.
It ended, and then I guess they picked it up in the episode where Bortus is addicted to the porn, right?
And with his sex dungeons and stuff.
And this is really the only follow up to that particular storyline, after, right? So they come in dribs and drabs.
Yeah, and I think this is the last of the Topa kind of episodes, like with the women and all that. I don't think there's any other episodes, at least not yet.
Oh no, there is.
Is there another episode?
It's in the third season, though.
Yeah, I know. I don't recall it. But anyway, I guess it'll be a surprise when I get there. Mm-hmm. But we have a job to do, gentlemen. And that job
Let's run through it.
Let's go through this, shall we?
Sure.
All right. So apparently my phone's on. Sorry about that. But yeah, we obviously open up with the ship, of course. Nothing new there. And they're talking to Admiral, what's his name?
Halsey,
that's the one. There you go. One of these days I'm going to get somebody's right. Anyway, talking to Halsey's, and basically they're being sent like on an escort mission for the Mocklins. They're taking a science team to to rendezvous with another.
They're getting their weapons upgraded to help with the Kalon threat, and so these guys are coming on board. The Mocklins are weapons experts, right? So
yes, well, and we find out later that the Union kind of gets a good chunk of their weapons from the Mocklins, so it kind of makes sense that you'd want to kiss these guys' butts for the most part. But anyway, they also we get the little get a little scene here about how they're getting tired of being the taxi service. Whereas, obviously the Admiral's just like, yeah, it sucks, but move on. Basically, like he doesn't care.
Basically, do what you're told. Yeah.
Yeah, do what you're told. That's kind of what the job entails. But anyway, so then we get to see the big Mocklin. This is one of their battleships, apparently, which we see another one later on. I don't know if it's the same one, though. I don't think it is. But anyway, we go to a spaceport at Mocklus. Apparently, they have this nice little kind of spaceport, space dock, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And of course, they obviously dock there, and we see the shuttle come from there into there, and they get these two guys that basically show up. Well, we only see the one right now, but there was two, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. Two engineers. There was two engineers originally.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So why is there only one now? But anyway. Doesn't matter. Either way, they're talking about how they've upgraded the things. Kelly and Mercer are very happy for the upgrades. I can't remember what she says. Something about what was it? I can't remember now. I only literally just watched this, and I don't remember it. Oh, she's gonna escort them back, basically, to their quarters. And they're carrying bags, and she makes this joke about how like, oh, is that bag really heavy? Do you want me to take it for you? Because obviously. She has quite the strength, which I think she's probably stronger than a Mocklin, I guess.
She is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with that. So anyway, these guys go into the quarters and instantly they kind of act like this is like this
they're
is a
up
problem.
to something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't. Now they do the classic Quentin Tarantino thing where they look in the case, the light shines on their face, but we don't see what it is. Right. We know that they have this case and all this, and that's pretty much it. So then we get our tile card. This is where Topa's in the school room or whatever you want to call it.
Schoolroom. Yep.
The learning room. And here we go. We get to see, obviously this is Marina Sirtis, playing a school teacher, but I think she does an all right job. She doesn't really have to do much in this.
I guess she's the one who replaced Kelly's old boyfriend.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like her shirt, Dave?
Her shirt's much better.
Okay.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you, Dave, but Adam got me to it. But yeah, you're okay with your uniform then, eh?
Yeah, 100% improvement. It's only up from here.
Yeah, so we get to see Topa playing with a girl as well, and Topa is basically being a bully, he's grabbing blocks away from the other girl, or the girl, I guess technically he's a boy right now. But basically, and then he gets into a shoving match with this kid, and then Troy shows up and says, "Hey, let's talk about feelings." No, this is obviously not Troy, but Marina Sirtis's character, which I never caught her name, but I'm not even going to pretend I know it. Anybody know it? Nope, I didn't know it either. I'm sure they said it, but I didn't catch it.
What are you asking? What the girl's name is?
The teacher's name is.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't catch it either. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, we'll just call her teacher Troy.
She has no name. It says Marina Sirtis as school teacher.
As a teacher.
Okay,
Yeah.
so school teacher. There you go. See, once in a while I get it right, guys. All right, that's her name, school teacher. All
I
right.
think this would have been great if she was actually the ship's counselor. Like just
Two on the nose. Two on the nose.
Either she's
Yeah.
ship's counselor or she's telepathic.
I don't get the vibe that she's either.
No, I think she's just a regular old human. That's what she's
I
meant to
know.
be.
And Topa gives the dirty look after Troy basically says, "Hey, you can't do that shit." And then they have a parent-teacher meeting, because those are always fun. Any parent who has ever done that knows how much fun that is. I'm not sure why we even bother. But anyway, they basically grill a Topa and say, Topa, what are you doing? It's like, well, women are inferior, so therefore, I can take what I want. And
Well, yeah, you see in the original conversation with the teacher and Bortus and Clyden, Clyden's like, "What's the problem?" Yeah, like if he needed, because there's all these attitudes established that that Topa is like females are weak and stupid or whatever, not worth listening to,
and Clyden is very sexist.
Well, I like in this
Very
scene
sexist.
where they're talking to the teacher, that you can see that Bortus even acknowledging that Topa was wrong. You can see Clyden being like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
Like it's already setting up that tension.
right.
Yeah.
And
the two of them have this, pretty, I wouldn't say it's mean conversation, but it was pretty, it was starting to get intense.
well, Bortus is like, "Where did you get these ideas, Topa?" And Topa's like, "From Clyden,
Papa."
from Papa."
Yeah.
The fact, like, why are the Mocklins like this? Because we're led to believe that they had like this harsh environment for thousands of years and they barely survived. And I guess most of them evolved into this all male, because males had a better chance of surviving those conditions. But obviously, some females did survive or did.
How do you feel about Clyden's shirt?
It's not great.
I thought so.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is I'm almost certain that the uniforms have changed.
They have. So on the bar panel on the one side of the shoulder, there actually is text now beside it.
No, but go back to one slide. Just show Bortus, or maybe it's ahead. The other way.
Go the other way. All right.
Yeah.
It's my first day.
There.
we go.
It's like there's a texture now to the material. It's like it's more wrinkly, actually. I don't like it, quite frankly, but yeah, like this uniform it's got more of like this quilting
Oh yeah.
effect to it than before. It used to be smooth, and I'm like this actually looks like more unkempt, really.
Which is interesting, because he doesn't have the wording here. So there's wording here on Kelly's as well as Mercer's now. So I'm wondering if maybe it's like when they got their positions or something. I don't know. But anyway,
I think it's like their name or something that's kind of embossed into
it could be something there. But yeah, like you definitely don't see it here. Like if we zoom in, he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
But you are right about the quilted thing, though. I don't know if it was always there or not. Even the piping is more textured now by the looks of it.
Yeah. Anyway, uniform update. We'll see if it comes
Uniform
up.
update. It's got a zipper. That's good.
Mhm.
It's always important to have a zipper. All right. So anyway, we get to see the two of them are now on the
Bridge.
bridge. Yes, I'm trying to remember what the scene is though.
This is where they figure out the power. There's a power drain in the Machlin's quarters.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah. So they end up figuring out that. It turns out it's in this particular area here. And they send Bortus to go check it out. Well, Bortus, I guess, kind of says, hey, I'll go check it out. Kind of thing. But anyway, so he goes in there. He's like, yeah, you guys are sucking a lot of power. And they're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he said he did something to the food replicator. His
Yeah,
food
they
didn't
wanted-
have any taste.
It didn't have much taste, yes. Which you need more power for taste, apparently, in the future when it comes
You
to
bozo! You can't make things flavorful without power.
power. But yeah, so anyway, he ends up looking around. He can't really figure out where this is, so he keeps searching around. And this one guy kind of blocks him for a second, and then he just kind of like lets him go through. He walks over and he's like, yeah, it's this case. What's in this case? Because you're sucking a lot of power here.
You will open it.
Yeah, we'll open it. So they finally open it. They open it. Sure enough, there's a baby. That's it. It's a baby.
A Machlin baby.
Oh, it's a Machlin baby. And she happens to be female.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anyway, which obviously Bortus can relate to. He's had this particular issue as well. But he does kind of have a little bit of a moral dilemma here because he's like, well, I can't keep this from my captain, especially after everything I've already been through with him with this type of subject. But then he's like, but he also understands, like, he didn't get his way when it came to Topa, so he kind of gets it. So he ends up basically he calls back to the bridge. He talks to Kelly and he says something along the lines of like, oh, it turns out they were trying to make more power for the replicator, so I'm gonna hook them up with that and everything's fine. And she's like, okay, thanks. And that was it.
Yeah. Covers for them basically.
Yeah. So anyway, but you see him and he's obviously, he's reminiscing of, when Topa was a girl. So anyway, he goes down to the school area again. And at this point, Topa, I guess, is a little bit better than he was earlier. And school teacher there tells him basically the same thing.
There was no new incidents. Yeah.
No
new incidents. He pulls Topa out of school for a family matter.
Yes, he says, I'm going to leave early. And she's like, well, can I ask you what? And he's like, family matter. So basically he takes Topa and they show up at the quarters of our two guests. And he goes, here's the power regulator thing I promised you. This will keep you guys off that grid and you're good to go, kind of thing. And he goes, and by the way, this is Topa, and I've told Topa that you're not allowed to repeat anything that you see, which clearly that this is exactly what's going to happen because Topa is like Papa, who's a bloody rat.
He's also like, how old is he? Like 6?
Well, yeah, but they age differently, I think.
Yeah,
but still, you don't tell a kid to be quiet. Don't tell anybody. I mean, that's the worst.
Yeah, I don't even think it matters what species you
well,
are.
You see later that Bortus doesn't blame him either. When he says sorry, he's like, it's not your fault.
Yeah,
we'll
not your
talk
fault.
later.
Yeah.
It's Clyden's fault.
Yeah.
It's totally Clyden's fault.
But I guess Bortus doesn't anticipate that Clyden could get wind of this and how things unfold here. But
which I don't know why, considering Clyden has nothing else better to do than get into everybody's shit. Like that's literally all he does, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you would think at this point you would know that would be a bad idea.
Clyden's like Mrs. Lovejoy, right? Like got to be all
basically,
over you,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But anyway, so we see they're parting ways. They're loading them back up in the shuttle. They're gonna now go over to the other ship, and they're gonna be on their merry way. They take off, and then at this point, Bortus is currently in the armory, and he's going through these pretty awesome looking pulse rifles. I must say, they are pretty good looking. We see them even in action later on. And he gets called up to Mercer's office, and they're all sitting here staring him down. Now, number one, I get why everybody's here, but when you're going to be disciplining, especially an officer of his rank, why the fuck is like half these people here? Like realistically, you wouldn't be doing this in front of that many people.
I don't understand why Tala and the doctor are there.
Yeah, I understand he obviously breached security. He also breached, some sort of medical protocol, I'm guessing as well. But, I don't know why those two need to be here, like for a disciplinary action, which is essentially what he's being called for, right? So, and not only that, but like Clyden's there too with Topa. Like, it's like, what the hell? Like, this seems a little stupid to do it this way. But anyway, I guess it's to, show how, he's awkward in this environment.
Well,
but anyway,
but Clyden being there, we need to know it was Clyden that did this.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Well, but Mercer could have just said, Clyden came and saw me, and blah blah blah, and that would have been the end of it. We would have all went, yeah, of course it was Clyden, that rat. But anyway, and then you get to see these two, and these two are kind of assholes about this. Like they're.
Well, I think
I get the position, but
I think that what they're trying to convey in this scene is that, like, Bortus didn't necessarily make the right call here, because
he at least didn't do things that would help. Oh, we lost Kevin.
At least from the perspective of the other senior officers like Ed Kelly and the doctor and Tala, where they're just like, maybe, we're a team here. Maybe you should have trusted us a little bit more. And the fact that the fact that he was, I guess, just accepting everything that these two said, that the Mocklins he ended up helping was true, because there was no way to verify their story, right? So
couldn't verify the story, and as the two girls said, they could have like stole this kid. Like you don't know if that's actually their kid or not. Like, and he's like, well, I trusted them, and blah blah blah. So anyway, but everybody basically gives Bortus a good grilling, basically.
Well, I mean,
the
other hole here, honestly, is the fact that they all supported him in the trial of Topa.
That's right. And now he's kind of betraying them in a way.
Like, why would he think that they wouldn't support this?
Yeah, he's not trusting them, right? He's like, because, and then Ed's like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, I didn't know how you'd react. Well,
yes, you did.
But Bortus also says something along the lines of, like, he didn't want to jeopardize things either, or something like that. He said
he didn't want to put them in a position to have to make that call. So, I don't know. Like, I can definitely see it from Bortus's perspective, and I don't think he's like completely in the wrong here, but I think that Ed and them have a point too, that this is bigger than just you, and like, so
yeah, this is a case of everybody's right and everybody's wrong.
Right.
It's
good way of putting it. Yeah.
yeah, basically. But yeah, so anyway, Bortus basically gets kind of told off by Mercer, and at this point, they're trying to figure out where the hell this ship went, and it turns out they're kind of cloaking their tracks. So basically, they're using their tractor beam to somehow move the ions or something.
Yeah, Gordon figures out how they kind of mask their trail.
Yeah, we should point out that Gordon is kind of a genius in this episode. Like, he's the new Lamar.
Almost, yeah. And on top of that, like, this comes from him, like, stealing a shuttle from the academy, and he, like, he ended up doing like a booze bus, basically like a party bus. And then they're like, and you never got caught. He goes, oh no, we got caught. That's when we hit the tree when we were landing.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot to do in this episode, but he has this moment where he kind of figures out how to track down the Mocklin ship, and later on, when they decide to fire on the Mocklins, he's the voice of reason.
Yeah.
He's
like, are you sure you want to do this? He also knows how much work he's going to have to do as well, because he has to figure it out. But anyway, they figure out where this ship is going, and it's going to this nebula, which is I can't remember how they explained this nebula, but basically it's a nebula where you can't scan, because of course every nebula.
So every nebula has been set. Like, it's been set.
That's true.
The stage has been set by Wrath of Khan.
There's no see-through nebulas ever.
No.
Like you
Go
can
to a
never
nebula,
just scan
you are
one.
on even footing.
There are many kinds of nebulas, but if you want to hide something, it's always in a nebula, or
you want the stakes, like no shields, no sensors. Go into a nebula.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So anyway, they figured this out, and Mercer's like, well, we got to go verify what's going on here, because this is not right, and we're going to be in a lot of deep shit if this is wrong. So anyway, they end up going towards the nebula. They finally get there. Beautiful looking nebula, by the way. I thought it looked really cool. And we can see that inside the nebula, there's a couple planets, of which one of them is habitable.
Yeah, mostly ocean, but a few islands. And,
Yeah, it said 80% ocean, and then there's 20% was a land mass. It's all like just keys of islands, basically.
So this is like when you go down here. This is much better than Mocklin or Mockless. Pardon me.
This is basically Ryza.
They have nice. Yeah, it's much nicer. It's not polluted. It's not dedicated to weapons.
Like,
manufacturing.
can you blame them like of wanting to live here instead of Mockless? Like,
right, Mockless is the planet that if you let men just run a planet, this is what
will happen. Exactly. I'm wondering if this was written by a woman. But anyway, so they end up scanning and figuring out that there's actually a whole bunch of Mocklins down there. But they don't know that it's women.
Okay. I might be overthinking this, but the only thing that throws me off is like obviously the nebula is very purple and everything from outside looks purple, and then they get down to the planet, it's just like a blue sky, and I thought that was just a bit.
Well, planets have atmospheres which take over what you see in the sky. So yeah,
I'm probably overthinking it, but
I get where you're coming from though. I totally get it. But you would think, I guess, it would have a different type of shade or something. So, but maybe that just cost too much money, and they already spent too much money on it.
Yeah, they spent too much money on this cast alone. So
yeah, exactly. So all these guest players that they had to throw out paychecks for. So anyway, they go and they land on the thing, which basically look like they're landing on like an elementary schoolyard with wood chips. I don't know if you guys have had the experience of being on one of those wood chip schoolyards, but they're not fun.
I thought it was like a hamster cage.
Yeah, same idea. Yeah. But anyway, I do like the shot though. The person who did the photography, which I guess probably Frakes is the one that actually set up the line. But I do like the shot right here. I love that shot. I don't know why, but it's composed very well. At least I like it. But anyway, they basically get ambushed, and turns out it's all Mocklin women, except for these two who just showed up with their baby. But they're seeing all these girls, and it turns out, look, it's this lady again. What's her name?
Good question.
Havina.
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 Yeah.
Havina.
Okay.
Glad to see her return. She's
a good
this character.
I like her character. I like how she portrays herself as well, which is great. And Kelly is like super happy to see her. Basically, she's like, this makes more sense now. And it turns out that this one, even though in the last episode we didn't know this, but she's been coming back and forth to this place like tons of times. So this sanctuary has existed for quite a while. And she basically says to Mercer, like, you've now basically dragged everybody here. Like we're in danger now. And she's like, we're going to have to evacuate the planet. We're going to have to go find something else because the Mocklins will be here shortly. Like we already know at this point. So Mercer's like, I got a better idea. How about we just make you a sanctioned?
They don't know that the Mocklins are coming exactly, but they know that like the 300 people on the Orville, they won't be able to keep this a secret anymore.
Yeah. There's a good chance that somebody's going to blab about it.
Probably Clyden.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely Clyden.
It's Clyden for sure. The minute he finds out there's women down here, he's probably calling like the head consulate there. He's like, get over here. But anyway, yeah. Clyden's an asshole in this episode. I hated him in this episode, but I loved him in the last week's episode, so it's totally weird.
Complicated character, yeah.
He's a very complicated character, yeah. But anyway, Mercer basically says along the lines of, I got a better idea. How about we go back to the Union, try to get you some sort of status so you're protected and, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, that could be a problem considering, like, you're currently, in bed with the Mocklins, and this could be a problem. And he's like, well, let's try it.
Well, she says, like, they have the option, like, just we can run, we can go to a new place, a new hiding place, and, keep this going, or we can actually try to, turn around here. I think there's a quote, like, every revolution starts with one act of defiance.
Yes. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Gandhi's the one who said that, right? And but the fact that they have a sort of a crossroads. Like Havina's like, no, I'm going to take Ed up on this offer. Extending some trust to this human. She doesn't really know very well, but her life's work is sort of hanging in the balance here.
I do have a question here. Does the Union have a duty to protect them, because they're not on Mockless anymore?
And according to Mocklin law, they're not Mocklins either.
Well, this
Like
is
they
the
don't
question.
they don't
right?
have
And
legal
this is when you
rights
get
because
to
they're women.
To the quandary that they're in, because
Hmm.
yes, Kevin, like I think it'd be no question if Picard showed up, you know what would happen. You know,
Yeah.
next
Right.
but here you got the complication of the weapons and the Krill and the Kalon and
But I think the other, I'm not exactly 100% on this, but what I'm left, the impression I get in this episode is that like Mocklins have the right to kind of govern over all Mocklins, and Earth has the right to do humans and etc. Right, and therefore you're autonomous within your culture, and so if the Mocklin state doesn't recognize this, then the Union is sort of in a bind in a sense because it's kind of an internal matter in there, you know, but it's not.
Yeah.
But I also think that, you know, like just because they're Mocklins doesn't mean that they should have to be ruled by Mocklis either.
Yeah,
you
I think
know?
they're just
And-
treated like separatists basically, and
right. So
you
it's
know,
a bit-
in the eyes of the law. So, but who knows? Renegades, I guess maybe. But we basically see they now are talking to Admiral Halsey. I remembered that one. And basically they're like, yeah, no, we want to bring what's her name over? I totally forgot her name already.
Avina.
Havina.
Yeah.
We want to bring Havina over and you know, let's let her address the Senate or whatever they call it,
Council.
Congress or Council, yeah. And let's see if we can get something set up here. And he's like, yeah, okay, let's do that, I guess, basically.
He's like, we got the hearing, but the Mocklin delegation is pissed. You know?
Yeah, they're pissed off and they're gonna be there. And then at these two are like, yeah, she's like, yeah, okay, well, you know, be safe, and I'll stay here with the ship, and yeah, I'll make sure there's a bourbon here for you when you get done. And he's like, cool, basically. So anyway, he takes a shuttle with Havina. Takes a ship with shuttle, and she basically, you know, is like, you know, I don't even know anything about this Earth, and I'm about to go there. And he's like, well, we have a whole database here. You can just, you know, kind of look at, you know, the customs and stuff like that. And she's like, okay. And she starts going through it, and she ends up playing a song. And that song, of course, is Dolly Parton 9 to 5. And she's like, this is the strongest woman in the universe.
She
This is the
speaks with a might of 100 soldiers.
of
I love
100
that.
warriors.
So the
Yeah.
anthem of our revolution. And you're like,
Yeah, the anthem of
Okay.
the revolution is essentially 9
And I
to
love
5.
that Mercer's like, well, there's more. She's like, no,
No, it is she.
is it.
Yeah, she is it. Yeah. But basically, Mercer's like, all right,
Okay,
well, you know, all right,
go
well,
Dolly.
Yeah, go Dolly. She's
everyone
pretty
likes Dolly Parton, even if you're not
No.
a country music person.
It's
you know?
true.
So-
Yep.
It really is true. I
It is
love Dolly.
true.
But anyway, so now we're back on Earth, and we're in front of the council, and we have
But-
this guy who I guess is the Grand Ambassador or something.
Have you guys seen 9 to 5?
Excuse me, who is it?
I didn't realize this was a Raffo.
F. Murray Abrahamsons, yeah.
No.
But anyway, yeah, he's I guess the chancellor,
Chairman of the council or something.
chairman.
Like
Yeah, okay.
that. Yeah.
But basically, he, you know,
Can we
does
go
a-
back a second because we didn't talk about 9 to 5. The movie 9 to 5. Have you guys seen the movie?
Yeah.
Ages ago.
I've
With
not.
James Woods?
James Wood is in it. and-
Was- James
No.
Jones? Dabney
Yeah.
Coleman was in it.
It's Dabney Coleman. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
But
right.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was James Woods.
You know, I remember seeing that as a pretty young kid and thinking, like, I don't remember. Like, I just had a hard time my whole life of not understanding why women haven't been paid equal or treated equal or anything in the workplace. So, you know, this is a perfect song for that.
Mhm.
You know, like,
Well, and that's one thing I do love about this show is the fact that McFarlane definitely puts things in that he loves, right? Like he's been on the record many times about Dolly Parton. Like he absolutely loves her, and he even did like a opening thing for something to do with Dollywood. I can't remember what it was, but it was ages ago.
I'd like to correct myself. The movie I'm thinking of with Dolly Parton and James Woods is called Straight Talk from 1992.
Oh, is that the radio one?
The radio one, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've seen that too. That wasn't bad. But yeah, they are two different movies. for sure.
Wasn't 9 to 5 also a TV show?
Yeah, it was. But 9 to 5
really? I
had
didn't know
like Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda as well. Were in it.
Yeah, it was the three girls, and then against Dabney Coleman, who was like a chauvinistic asshole.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to the Chancellor or whatever his name is. But anyway, the one thing I did love about this is the fact of all these different aliens in the background, man. There's like tons of them, including all the Dans.
Dan species, whatever they're called.
Whatever Dan species. They're probably all just called Dan. Personally, I think that's probably the best thing, but
species of Dans.
But anyway, but you know, we get to see these guys.
The Retepsians.
Retepsians? Did you actually?
Yeah, this is the Rob Lowe species.
Oh, is it the same? Oh, yeah, I guess it is the same one. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully they don't get too excited.
Don't get too horny, Retepsians.
That's going to be a hell of a meeting if they're in heat.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, they ask her to come up and say some words. Instantly, Tony Todd,
and you know, like I would not know it's him until he speaks, right? Like
the minute he speaks, you know it's Tony
He just
Todd.
sounds like Kern in every episode.
And unfortunately, we lost him recently.
Yeah, he passed away not long ago. Very young. He wasn't even 60 yet, you know, and but he was great.
I had the pleasure of meeting him ages ago, and he was a cool guy.
He's one of the all-time greats.
Voice
actors, you know, one of my favorite.
I don't think there's a major franchise that guy didn't touch in some way. Like he, you know, whether he voiced something or, you know.
Yeah, he's like he's so iconic in his voice, you know, and so yeah,
and you know instantly it's him.
But he adds a lot to this episode.
I was also impressed with these horned guys in the background. I thought that was pretty impressive as well.
We've seen them before too. That species.
Okay.
Yep. I don't remember exactly who they were, but like most of these species we've seen at one time or the other, either in the mess hall or something like that.
Yeah. As long as there's a lot of Dans. I'm just happy to know there's more than one Dan. That's a whole species of Dan. That would be amazing. But anyway, so she gets up and she talks about how, like, you know, the oppression and how, you know, we have to be equals and, you know, we need harmony and all that stuff. I don't remember much of her speech, quite honestly, but I remember it being a while. And then she eventually starts quoting 9 to 5 Fred Taylor.
Well, yeah, I like the early part of the speech is. Yeah, she gets into the 9. Yeah, like he goes, "Oh God," and then Halsey, I guess, knows it. But
I actually have the screenshots from that.
But only the humans would like kind of go.
Those guys are great. Look at those.
Yeah, these blowfish guys are pretty awesome.
Right, they look like Hellraiser or something. And then wasn't like Ralph Garman.
These guys.
He was one of those.
He was one of these guys. Yeah, Ralph Garman. I doubt he's in this episode, but. Because there's no speaking roles, but anyway, I love the look on Mercer's face when she starts quoting Dolly Parton, and even like Admiral Halsey is like he knows what it is, and he's like, why the hell is she saying this? And he's just like,
I don't know how humans in 300 years would feel about Dolly Parton, but I guess
I really hope that everybody listens to Dolly Parton.
They better. Yeah. If anybody is watching this 200 years from now, which let's be honest, no one will. But if they are,
they're totally going to.
Are you kidding me? They're
listen to Dolly Parton.
They're not just listening to Dolly Parton. Dollywood is still fucking open.
Oh, Dolly Parton is still alive.
Yeah, they figured out how to keep her going.
There's a Dollywood on every planet.
She ends up outliving Betty White. It's amazing. But anyway. So anyway, it goes back to after she does her little like kind of rant that has to do with Dolly Parton. Everybody just kind of claps. These guys are interesting. I don't know why they have to wear gloves, but I'm very interested as to why.
They remind me of like, is there that character in Dune that's kind of like gross?
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, he does actually. Yeah. But I'm more interested into why they have to wear kitchen gloves. That's the only thing I'm wondering about.
What about their outfits with the poof?
I'm not even worried about the outfits. It's the gloves that make me very concerned.
Yeah. Great makeup stuff.
But yeah, no, that's one thing they do on the show really well. So, and we have these guys too. I don't know who they are, but I think we've seen these guys before.
Yeah, I can't recall
like them, but anyway. And we get a lot of good external shots in this episode as well. So anyway, turns out hey, a warship just showed up.
Yeah, the Moclan warship shows up in the nebula.
Moclan warship shows up, and that bloody thing's huge, which we already know.
It doesn't matter, though. They're in a nebula. Everything's even.
That's true. That's true. They didn't even know they were there. They just happened to like drive by and went, oh, wait, there's the Orville. But anyway, so she's like, yeah, hail them. And this guy comes on, which I didn't catch his name, but don't care. But anyway, the Moclan commander, whatever you want to call him, captain, I guess. He's like, yeah, no, we've been told to be here just in case things go sour, and we have to expedite people off the planet. And Kelly's like, yeah, no, just kind of stand down. That'd be good. And
it is shocking how little Kelly is ever actually in charge.
It is true,
bridge.
Yeah. As being second in command, because usually she's in command.
Usually she goes off with Mercer, right? So this is a very rare moment where she's actually in command of the ship.
And I think she does pretty well. I think she holds her own. I think she's pretty good at that. I think she has some corny lines, but past that, it's
show is all corny lines.
Well,
it also makes sense that like Kelly's the one to face off against the Moclan captain, because the Moclans obviously are kind of prejudiced against females in general.
Yeah, so. It's even better when the woman is the one that's in charge here. Yeah, which I'm sure was deliberate. But anyway, we're back at the Planetary Union, and at this point, Tony Todd's talking. And when Tony Todd talks, I listen. That's all I can say, guys.
I want my fucking money!
It's true. He does want his fucking money. Anyway, censor. But he does, and even like just his like facial mannerisms during the speech, I thought was great. Like he was a great actor. I you know what, for a guy who is known for B flicks and stuff like that, like and I mean B flicks more than one way. But
he was Candyman.
He was Candyman.
The pain will be exquisite.
The pain will be exquisite.
Be my victim.
I love that movie. I shouldn't, but I do. But anyway, yeah. And even like his side eyes and stuff like that, like just menacing. He's just so good at it. And even these guys are like, oh shit, Tony Todd's talking. And he looks over and he's like, this should not be happening. And he's very upset about all this. And we see into the crowd, and turns out there's a couple of the jelly Norm Macdonald characters. Yeah, a couple more aphids.
But they weren't on the council. How come they're not in the council?
Because they're jelly. Who cares?
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And these guys aren't on the council either. If you look at these guys over here, I don't actually know what they are.
It's like the UN. There's like the Security Council, which is what we're watching.
And I want to know,
else is,
are these supposed to be Jawas? They look like Jawas to me. I wonder if that's just like an in-joke kind of thing.
They're their cousins.
Yeah, maybe. Well, maybe we'll get something in fun facts about that. Anyway, we see this admiral's meeting with Mercer. We got all these different admirals that are showing up, including
every admiral that's been on the show so far.
Yeah. We got what is it? Ron Canada.
Ron Canada, not from Canada.
Not from Canada, but he's Ron Canada. And of course, we have Ted Danson as well, and I don't remember the other girl's name. And then of course Halsey.
Yeah, Admiral Azawa.
All right. Well, either way, it doesn't matter. She has like 3 lines. Anyway, so basically they're like, we need to come up to some sort of solution. And I like Ted Danson's character, because he's just like, we can't give up. We got to give up these guys, because like we can't afford to not have these guys on our side. Like we have what are the guys that Isaac's from?
Kalon.
We have the Kalon threat, and if we lose these guys, we lose our weapons and our backup and support. And on top of that, the Krill might end up going over with them, right? So because right now the Krill are kind of neutral, but they're on the planetary side right now. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, and Mercer's just like, well, we gotta do something, and they're all just like, stop being stupid. Like, this is such a dumb thing to be even talking about. Like, we gotta.
Well, I think that the debate is interesting, because they're like, if we lose the Moclans and we lose like the weapon support that they're giving us, then we could all be wiped out by the Kalon, which I think is a legitimate consideration.
Totally legitimate.
Sure.
You know, but then like Ed asks, like, well, like, what are we even defending here? If we don't have our principles, we don't have our morals, what are we standing up for? And I was kind of just like, I don't know, lives, like, like, you know, so like I think that holding true, like, it doesn't matter if you hold to your morals if everyone is dead.
That is the dilemma, right? And I think if anybody at the table is correct, it's probably Ted Danson, because he's the one that's basically like, we can't do this. Like we are in such a bad shape to begin with, and on top of that, you want us to basically alienate one of our biggest allies, who also happens to give us weapons.
I think Ed's other point here is that the fact that we put all our eggs in one basket with the Mocklins is our own fault here. Like we never should have done that.
We did this wrong. Yeah.
But the like, definitely you think about that and think about how it's ridiculous to have so much of one thing come from one place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
But also, the real question is, what do you do when you're already in that situation? And it's a much tougher question.
Yeah,
right? Because like you say, Dan, is it what good are your moral convictions if you're all dead?
Right.
Well, and this is another case of you're both right and you're both wrong, right? Like this seems to be kind of a thing that we have here.
It just tells us, you know, as here we are in whatever century they're in, and history repeating itself again as you rely on one country or one planet or whatever to arm you, and then they switch sides.
Yep.
And that's happened many times in our history as well. So it's Afghanistan would be a very good.
It's happening at the moment.
It's happening
literally
right
happening right
now.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, they basically throw this back and forth for a while, and then we get to see Bortus, and he's having a drink in the mess hall, and we see Kelly, and she comes up and basically says, I actually, I don't even remember what this conversation is. I think this was a different one. Anybody remember what they're saying here? I think she apologized.
Just being very supportive to him.
Yeah, she's like, I totally get where you're at, kind of thing. And
she asks him because Mocklus is already threatening to leave the Union if they don't get their way.
And what are you going to do, basically?
Right. And if that happens, what will you do next? And he's like, I don't really know, and that's when Clyden comes along, I think.
This is great when Clyden comes along. I love, he just unloads.
Yeah.
You haven't even acknowledged.
Yeah, you haven't even acknowledged that Kelly's there. And
Kelly's there, right? Like,
she's one of the highest ranks on the ship. Like, you think
it's a great scene because you listen to him talk and you think back to the rest of the show and you go, "Holy shit, that's true."
That's literally what's going on.
It's a really cool scene.
Yeah, it's very well written too. I don't know who wrote this one, but
Joe Menosky.
Joe Menosky. Okay, I'm not
long-time Star Trek writer.
Oh, was he? Okay, great.
Yeah.
I wonder what episodes he's written. Maybe we'll find that out later.
It seems like he comes into like the writing staff around this time, and then he doesn't last that long. He actually ends up leaving, but but he's written many episodes of Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager.
I wonder if any of those are ones that I liked. But anyway, I'll have to do my own research later.
Darmok, do you like that one?
Oh, I love that one. That was him, eh? Oh,
yep.
I can kind of see where the influence is. So, but basically, yeah, he grills Kaylin a new one, and then we see Kelly get back onto the bridge, and I think at this point they've already sent the shuttles down.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they sent the shuttles down. She's like, "What the hell is going on? Like, you can't do that." And he's like, "We're doing it," and she's like, "Well, that's going to be a problem," and she's pissy. She's really pissy. So anyway, we're back on Earth again, and at this point, the Mocklins have shown up to voice their concerns to the group of admirals here, or at least Tony Todd did anyway. But I can't remember what he says to Ted Danson, but Ted Danson says something kind of icky to him, but I can't remember what it was now. Shit, what was it?
Well, this is when Tony Todd comes in and says, "We are, they're basically pissed that like the Union is entertaining this conversation at all, and that they're ready.
Yeah, they're like, why are you trying to oppress us with your stuff? You know.
Yeah, maybe we'll go team up with the Krill and see, and tell you guys all to scram. And I think they're like, you guys, the Mocklins and the Krill can't beat the Kalon either. It's going to take everyone together.
And even then, they're not sure they can.
And even then, it's not a guarantee. It's like, but they have a chance.
Yeah, the Kalon are extremely powerful. So, as we've already seen, but I even head on, he looks great. But Tony Todd definitely steals the scene for sure. Now Mercer comes up and says something, but I don't remember where it was. Oh man, I'm totally drawing a blank here.
Well, he's like, you can't leave. Like, what is the Orville going to do out there if this like Mocklin ship starts like going down? And he's
this
like,
is funny. This is actually.
It was like, well, official orders are you got to tell her to stand by. He's like, I can't do that. He's like, well, the nebula it could be very complicated with
screwing up your comms probably. And he's like,
And
oh
Mercer-
yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
No. Mercer's like, what are you talking about? Our comms are awesome.
We just got them upgraded.
That's not going to work. And then of course they're going to hear what I say. He's like, oh wait.
And even Admiral Halsey's just like, God, you're thick.
This guy. He's not ready for the Admiralty yet.
Yeah, he's not going to be an admiral anytime soon.
He's
so
not a admiral yet. He's not thinking sneaky enough.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you gotta wait until some bugs take over. That's the best thing. But anyway, we see a couple externals again, and at this point, this is kind of where they get into the whole. Well, we're gonna have to go land, but first they get an update from Mercer, and Mercer's like, "You go do what you have to do." Kind of
official orders are do nothing. Unofficial orders are what was it? How does he word it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember what he says.
Well, it's he's like keep things under control or something like that, and she's like, got it, like whatever, like it's kind of like a coded like phrase, but she knows what to do.
Yeah, she's like, oh, he wants me to do what I have to do. All right, cool. So anyway, she decides she's gonna go down and do it. And at this time, this is when Bortus kind of jumps in and says, "You're not going down there. Not without me, you ain't." And she's like, "You have to stay here with the ship. Like you're one of the next ones up." Which
she's like, "You might have to, if you come with me, you might have to fire on your own people." He was like,
she goes, "It's
I am in."
Yeah.
All he says is, "We're wasting time."
I'm so ready to fire on my own people.
Yeah. He's like, and she's like, this is a career-ending thing. Like this could end my career. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about my career either." So the two of them end up heading down. So they take a shuttle. And just as they're trying to get into the atmosphere, they get hooked on with the tractor beam from the ship there.
Mocklin ship.
Mocklin, that's what I was going for. Yeah, see, you guys all together will get me moving here. But anyway, I thought this was cool as well. And instantly, he's like, what?
Well, yeah, like this is an active war if you fire on that Mocklin ship.
She's like, fire on it. And he's like, what? No.
If Kelly can end her career, so can I, says Tala.
Yeah, Tala.
That was good. But what a difference between Tala and
Tala just doesn't.
Alara, right?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
What a
Alara
difference.
couldn't do this. Alara would be like, they're gonna be mad at me.
Yeah, it's the right personality. Like Tala is the person you would rather have in that situation than
100%. Yeah,
than her. Yeah, her predecessor.
And I think she does a great job too, because she's just like, yeah, you give it all you want to give it. She also trusts everybody on the bridge, right? Like she's like, yep.
Well, I think there's like again,
Gordon knows better. Let Gordon do it. Yeah.
We don't know their histories and everything, but I mean, clearly just some experience behind them before they promote people.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, the big battleship comes after them, starts firing on them, and then at this point we see back down on the sanctuary planet, we see everybody starting to get rounded up by these guys, the Mocklins, and then at this point, you see all this, and then you see two blue glowing things showing up here, and it turns out it's Kelly and Bortus, and they're down for a can of whoop ass. And obviously, Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 starts playing, which makes this even more funny. because you see people getting their ass kicked while Dolly Parton's playing that song, which is
finally a firefight that I'm not bored at because I get to listen to a little 9 to 5. Right?
Dolly at the same time. Yeah.
It does make it a lot better.
It does, right?
I don't know about you guys, but I love these two fighting together. I thought this was fantastic. Just the two of them going after everybody.
Yeah,
And
this
this is like a standoff thing. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I just think it was really great. Yeah, like I just think that like this whole thing was for a firefight, and you're like, take them out. Like I'm with Bortus here, and I'm just like, shoot all these guys.
So you got a whole group of female Mocklins. You've got Kelly, and then the one male Mocklin that sort of opposes them. It's great. It's great
and everybody's just beating the hell out of everybody, and like the Mocklin women are jumping on everybody, and like there's like 5 of them on one guy, and they're beating the hell out of him on the floor. And it's fantastic. I just loved it.
Look at Kelly there. She's like winding up with her phaser. Just
and she's blasting people, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, we can never get that in screenshots too well, but it's a lot of good fun. I enjoyed it. We even see some of the women pick up the Mocklin guns once they hit the ground. They pick them up and start, shooting at their own and.
And all these weapons are on stun, right? No one's killed in this fight, right?
No, I don't think anybody was killed in it. No, I didn't get that impression anyway. But we get to see some really cool external shots of the Orville, especially like these sideways shots and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool how they did it. Whoever did the CG for this episode, I think, did a great job on directing it. We really get a sense of the fight and how close it is, then how far away it is sometimes, and
Gordon again saves the day. Comes up with this day-saving plan. The fly into the nebula. Gordon again.
Which I don't even think we see Lamar at all, do we?
Lamar's not in this episode.
He's not even in the episode, yeah. So I guess they needed him for this. But anyway, so we see.
So Gordon gets to come up with all the ideas.
Yeah, Gordon's the man right now. And then he's like, "Yeah, I think we could do this." And she's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess." And she's like, "Okay, do it." So anyway, what did he do? He goes into the nebula again to block.
It does something. Yeah,
he does a Wrath of Khan in it, and we move on.
Right.
Kind of. But anyway, the two ships kind of play peekaboo. We get to see more Dan's people again. I believe this.
Yeah, but when they spoke, I was disappointed.
They definitely don't have the zest that Dan has.
Is this Dan's people? They don't
have
the same,
because they don't have the same grapefruit head.
Spots and these are different.
Yeah,
these guys might be different. Yeah,
they're another bulb head species.
Well, maybe they're like a subspecies of. Like a side species of
they're like if
Romulans versus Vulcans,
Yeah, they're like if Dan
one has the ridges, one
doesn't.
Yeah. These are the more vampiric sides, I guess.
These are the vampire Dans. Okay,
these are vampire Dans. This guy, I don't even know who the hell this guy is, but he's supposed
to be a Salayan.
Oh, is he a Salayan?
Yeah, he's a Salayan. Got the.
Oh yeah, he's got the ears. I saw that. Yeah. Yeah,
and he bet. So the basically they say like this could set a precedent where you have the Union kind of imposing on the different moralities because all these species have different codes of ethics and different values and not all of it lines up with Earth, right? And and so but sometimes there are things that are sort of transcend universal value, like go into the universal values kind of thing.
But I also think his points are valid. He's like, well, we didn't join the Union to be told what to do here, guys. Like we joined the Union to be a collective, help in the galaxy kind of thing.
Right.
Not we don't get told that we can't do this or that. Who gets to dictate that?
I feel like though, like hunting down, even if they're your own species, hunting them down on planets that are not yours. That's a gray area at best.
It's a very Nazi thing to do. It's like
right. So, but it's one thing to say, okay, like these people are protected, and this is and they're being given asylum, and then it would be another thing to say. That the Mocklins have to change their laws and they have to do this and this and this, but
right.
So or change their culture.
Yeah. Either way, it makes for an interesting video episode, though. Oh, well, that's Kevin again. Oh, no, just audio. But yeah, so we see, and obviously Tony Todd's still not happy. We see these guys in more detail now. They even have like these little like things on their neck areas here, which I thought were pretty neat. So I think those guys might be vampires for sure. These guys look like the fat vampire from Blade. Do you remember that fat vampire from Blade or Blade 2 maybe? Yeah, looks a lot like that. And these guys are like, looks like something out of Spirited Away. But anyway, let's move on. There's the Chancellor or whatever, the guy, Consul guy, whatever.
F. Murray Abrams.
F. Murray Abrams. Yeah.
Oscar winner. Come on.
For sure. But anyway, we see Helena, and Helena is, she's taking in what's going on. And then we go back to the fight again. And at this point, the Dolly song's done, but we still get to see some fun stuff going on here. We get to see Kelly gets her ass beat for a second, and then she goes back and beats his ass. And we get to see Bortus with the "Here's my hand," and all of a sudden this guy gets knocked down. But overall, it was a lot of fun, I think. So the choreography was quite nice, I think. So, but anyway, at the end of the day, the Mocklins basically they get interrupted, and I guess this leader guy comes by and says, "Whoa, everybody stop! We've come to a decision. There's a decision happening here," and it turns out the decision was based on something that Halsey says. I think we must have missed it. Did we go past it, guys? Because Halsey basically does
I think it's Ed who actually he proposes this compromise. That is you don't mess with the colony, and we won't officially recognize it, and basically this fighting gets kind of stopped in its tracks. So
does the Underground Railroad. It's done.
Yeah, and they have to end the Underground Railroad, but the people that are already here are protected, and that's kind of like the deal they have to make.
I got some Enterprise vibes here with this rifle, though. Looks pretty cool. But anyway, I'm not sure why you need the scope for this, but anyway, what can you do? So they all basically come to a stop, and at this point, we find out that this is what they've decided to do. They're going to leave them alone, and in return, they're not going to be considered separate from Mocklus, and they're not going to be recognized as a separate entity in the Union, which to them, I guess, works. The main thing is they're an enemy of their own state, so it's kind of good. Well,
she says it's not perfect, but it's a start. Like this is the beginning of change, not the end.
Yeah, we see these two guys again, and they're around their little one, and we get to see them talk to Havana. There we go. And Havina's like basically what Kevin just said. Is it's like, well, it's not perfect, but it's better than what we had, I guess. And Kelly's kind of distraught about this, but she's also okay with it as well, I guess. But she's like, well, it's good. I'm glad to hear that we're going to get more of her, because I don't remember her being in any more episodes.
Oh, it's one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, cool.
The next time she'll appear. So.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, you see that, and Mercer gives her a big shit grin. He's like, I'm happy enough for you. And then we see this final scene, and the final scene is Bortus. He's walking down the hallway thing here. He goes into the classroom again, and he sees that Topa is getting along with the girls here at the table, and Unity's kind of happening, and we get a bit of a smirk. So
which is nice, but let me propose another way to go with this.
Okay,
is he's standing just like this, looking over Clyden in bed. He smiles, and then he plunges a knife into his heart.
Maybe this is actually what's happening. Maybe he's looking at Topa and going, "You're not going to have Papa much longer." You know,
Well, yeah. Well, I think that like, and that's the end, right? That's the final.
that is the last scene.
Because I think that like, going back to that conversation in the mess hall with Clyden and Bortus, where he's like, you're raising Topa to be, in the same bigoted attitudes. You're on this ship all the time. You're around these other people, and it's like it's not changed you at all. If anything, you cling harder to tradition. You cling harder to, and we know that the fact that Clyden was forced to go through this corrective procedure as a baby, and I'm sure that's what's informing Clyden's like state of mind. Doesn't make it right, it doesn't excuse it, but it's the reason behind it all, and and so I feel like that Bortus is like, I guess if they broke up, like, I guess he'd go to break up, he has to kill Clyden, right? So
that's how they divorce.
But don't they? But he didn't have to divorce. Is it because they already have a kid? Is that why? That's why they can.
I think it has something to do with that.
Yeah, because he was able to break up with the other guy who was into women, by giving the tooth away or whatever, and all that stuff. Yeah. So like they do have like, so if you're old boyfriends you can break up with, but not husbands.
Once you have a kid,
not your mate. Yeah,
not your proper
mate. Your mate for life. Yeah. And it's one of your guys' lives. It doesn't matter which one.
Until one of you murders the other. But I think that's the other value. I think that Bortus has found, that he's not going to be murdering people, even Clyden. So but it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
You know what I would murder for right now?
Fun facts with Adam.
That's right. Fun facts with Adam.
Fun facts with Adam.
Reverb. All right,
perfect. We had to have the reverb. That's the key. I don't even know where his picture thing is anymore. Where did it go?
It's okay. We're good.
Oh, hold on. There it is. Fun facts with Adam.
Fun facts with Adam.
All right.
Okay, so we covered a lot of these facts as the evening's gone on, but
the
line every revolution begins with a single act of defiance is actually a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, which is a nice little tie-in. They did a lot in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
The Union admirals all appear together for the first time. 3 of them are named after admirals associated with the United States' early conflict with Japan. So we've got
that makes sense now. Yeah.
Okay, Admiral Perry forcibly opened Japan to trade with the U.S. by sailing a fleet into one of the country's harbors. Admiral Halsey fought against the Japanese when in the Second World War. And Admiral Ozawa was the last commander of the Japanese carrier fleet and the last commander-in-chief of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Halsey and Ozawa opposed each other in the Battle of Leyte Gulf, where Halsey was lured into an attacking decoy of empty aircraft carriers commanded by Ozawa. So
I guess Seth MacFarlane's a World War II nerd, as well as,
because he also had the I think it was the Speranza, which was one of the ships earlier on, which was another admiral from World War II.
Got it.
First episode not to feature Jay Lee, as you called it out, Jody. This is the last appearance of the full original version of the opening sequence. The remainder of the season 2 used a truncated version of opening, while season 3 introduced a new opening.
Skip the intro next week and actually see how much shorter it is.
Yeah,
it's just they just cut a couple of the filler.
You guys called
out.
Episodes
run longer.
Yep.
Sorry.
You guys called it Ron Canada, who plays one of the admirals, has been a guest star as Next Generation. He's been on Deep Space Nine. He's been on Voyager. He also appeared in Babylon 5, Dave.
I know. He was great at Babylon 5.
Yeah. 5 people saw that.
Now, Dave, you know that, and we know that, and
nobody else. What's Babylon 5?
There's now 5 people that know that in this world.
I bet a couple Babylon 5 fans out there.
Did you?
They exist. I just don't encounter them regularly. Often.
I wonder why.
Even though the series has many references or ties to Star Trek universe, this episode has more tie-in to Next Generation and Deep Space Nine than most other episodes. Penny Johnson is a series regular and guest starred on many episodes of Deep Space Nine. Marina Sirtis was a member of the main cast of Next Generation. Jonathan Frakes was one of the main cast of Next Gen and also directed all kinds of DS9 and other things. And Tony Todd, as we all know, played Worf's brother Kern in Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. And then finally, Dave, you called it. Let's hear it. Marie Abram.
Oh.
That is quite a long one, eh?
Who played Ruafo in Insurrection and is featured as the chairman. Interestingly, the movie was about people who diverged into two cultures, much like this story in Insurrection.
That's right.
And it's still a garbage movie, but anyway.
But do you like it? Oh, I don't love the movie either, but I think it's better.
I think it was a
than
great
Nemesis.
episode.
It would have been fine as a two-parter.
That's what we said even back then when it came out. We're like,
Yeah. Why is this even a movie?
yeah, because Frakes wasn't directing it. That's why it went off the rails. If you ask me.
True.
No, he did direct it, didn't he?
Did he?
Did he direct Insurrection? I think he might have. Hold on. He didn't direct. He didn't get to direct Nemesis.
No, he didn't direct Nemesis.
Nobody wants your name associated with
Frakes.
There is nothing wrong with Nemesis. It is awesome.
Frakes did direct Insurrection, which is, I guess, is how he, would maybe have a connection there with Abrams.
So boring.
You know the Star Trek Troopers connection in Nemesis, right?
Do I know
no.
that? No,
What's
I
the
don't,
connection?
actually.
The Romulan
Oh, Dina Meyer.
Dina
That's the
Meyer,
connection. Yeah, okay.
Oh, was that her? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's...
That was Busy?
Dizzy.
Dizzy.
Dizzy. Diz, yeah. But she's also the Romulan, yeah, in that one.
All right. Is this my screen? Oh, it is. Okay.
And before Jody, you were asking what other episodes Joe Minoski has written.
Yes.
Amongst them, including in The Next Generation, would be Darmok. There's the episode Conundrum.
Oh, I love Conundrum.
Times Arrow, when they went back.
I don't mind Times Arrow either.
There's Masks.
I didn't
These
like
are
Masks.
all great episodes.
I didn't like Masks.
I agree. He only wrote a few D Space Nine episodes, and most of them are not great, including Rivals and Times Orphan, which is the one with Molly. But he wrote more Voyager episodes than anything else, including Future's End, Scorpion Part 1 and Part 2, Year of Hell, The Killing Game Part 1 and 2.
Killing Game wasn't bad.
Living Witness, Drone, Timeless, Equinox Part 1 and 2, including the finale of Voyager, Unimatrix Zero, and also the Voyager Conspiracy. He's tons of episodes, and one Discovery episode, Lethe. But
which one's Lethe?
It's a season 1 episode.
So it sucked then.
Yeah,
So it's not good.
Oh, wait a second. You said it was Discovery, right?
yeah.
Oh, well then every episode sucks, so it didn't matter. All right. Anyway,
The season doesn't matter.
yeah, the whole season doesn't matter then.
All right. So with that,
All right, time for ratings, boys. Adam, you gave a 7 to last week's episode, which we were all very
We're back on track, guys. I'm giving
back
this a
on
9.
track. A 9. All right, fair enough. All right, Dave, what are you thinking?
11.
It only goes to 10.
This one goes to 11.
All right, 11 it is. All right. Anyway, Kevin.
10.
10. All right.
Great.
I am gonna give it. You know what? I'm gonna give it a 10. It's a great episode. And you know what the funny thing is, when I remember us talking about it last week, because it was what was coming up kind of thing. My God, I was like, I don't remember liking this episode at all. But when I watched it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
I don't remember this being like, this is now one of my favorite episodes, I think, of not just of the Orville, but of many shows. And
It's a good episode for sure.
Yeah.
So we gave it an average of 10, mostly because of Dave. And
Well, I'm sure your 10s, Kevin.
our 10s
both-
helped. Our 10s helped for sure. You know who didn't help? Adam.
He helped. He's still giving it a 9. It's still pretty good.
I don't know. But anyway, Adam's turning into the new me from another series where I rate everything a little bit lower than I should. But anyway, IMDb says that this is an 8.2, which I don't know how they could possibly say that this episode wasn't as good as last week's episode.
I love that you rate it 9, Adam, and we're giving you shit.
Yeah, we're giving you shit for giving it a 9.
This hater doesn't know what he's talking about.
Hater.
Start getting
John.
comments. The middle guy.
Yeah, middle guy.
We're gonna start calling you Datum. That's what we're gonna call you.
No,
But anyway, with a combined average of 9.1, and as we said, the director this week was Jonathan Frakes, which we can kind of tell. Some of the shots are pretty reminiscent of what he has. But I know what you guys are going to say now. You're going to say, Jody, this episode was good, but there's probably an episode come next week.
It's gonna be hard to top this one. But what is up next, Jody?
This next one is tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Which is a very Kelly and Mercer episode. Time distortion affects Ed and Kelly's relationship. This is where they basically kind of almost go back in time and stuff. It has two definitive plots for sure going on. But is this the one where what's her name comes back too? I can't remember if it is.
I think it might be. Is this the finale of season 2?
No. There's one more episode after this.
Okay.
So, this is the one with the pods and stuff. Oh yeah, okay, this is a good one.
I just realized though, because when you gave me that title, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, there's a Strange New Worlds episode that has that exact same title.
Yeah.
Is it
And
really?
I'm like, did they it feels like they kind of ripped it off.
Kind of sounds that way. Weird.
we have to watch both and come back.
You'll have to figure it out. Yeah. But anyway, that's what's happening. And it's not actually happening tomorrow, but it is going to be next week, and it's going to be tomorrow.
And tomorrow.
That's right.
Oh, we got a comment here. Guys, if you have to catch up on your rewatch, just finished watching the Superman and Lois series finale. I loved is that like
I haven't seen it.
Lois and Clark, the real adventures or the new adventures of Superman from the
No,
90s?
there is a new series which is Superman and Lois.
Is that like
It's an actual new series? Yeah.
That's like the CW one or whatever. Okay.
No, the one you're talking about was the CW one. Wasn't it?
I'm talking about the one Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher.
Yeah, that was on the CW.
No, it wasn't. CW didn't even exist back then.
Oh, okay.
It was on
Maybe
ABC.
they rerun it or something. Either way, it doesn't matter. I haven't seen it because honestly, I don't think Superman is a good character, but a lot of people like Superman, and that's fine.
I liked that show.
I'm glad you enjoyed it anyway. That's the key.
Terry Hatcher's the best Lois Lane.
Did you like Smallville?
I didn't like Smallville.
I watched a bit, but I wouldn't say I liked it. No.
Smallville is kind of like that Archie show they did a couple years back. Same shit, really. Just different way of doing it.
If you want to talk about a CW show, but I
That
think
was
like
a garbage show.
it had. I think that the guy who played Lex Luthor was the best part of that show.
Well, and his podcast is fantastic.
And Michael Rosenbaum, yeah, he's really
Michael
good.
Rosenbaum, he has a podcast. What is it? NTU? NTU it's called?
Inside You,
Inside of You, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Either way, he does fantastic. He's a really good interviewer. He does a really good job. Anyway, you know what though? Other people in the world do good jobs, Dave. Of which is you, and you produce a lot of shows on this channel. What's coming up?
Well, we got another episode of Lower Decks on Thursday. We're going to be covering.
Is that the 8th episode?
It's the 8th episode. It's called
3 more
Upper
left.
Decks. Upper Decks. So we're into the final 3 here. We don't. I don't think the promotional images have come out yet. So, but check that out. We'll be on Thursday night to talk about that.
Right.
We were just on last night with our science division doing trivia.
Yeah.
Adam and I and Davin competing with the quiz admiral Ashley Millard herself. And you want to hear
Was
some
Adam really competing though?
Don't spoil it. It's anybody can win.
Sorry,
So-
I had to take
Listen,
that.
I performed brilliantly, Jody. You go on.
No one ever invites me to this thing. I would probably do terrible, but I'm kind of glad that nobody invites me.
Some of the questions are really hard.
Oh yeah, no, I watched the episode with you guys yesterday. There was questions where I'm like, what the hell? Ashley's really good at getting questions.
I was listening in the background. I couldn't answer a single one.
Thank you.
I can answer some of them. I was a little disappointed that no one knew what the alloy was that they put on the hull.
Start with a T.
Trillium D.
Yeah.
I got that
Trillium
one.
D.
I
Yeah, you
got that.
eventually got it, but it took a while for you to get it.
Because I had to steal.
Oh, okay.
It was
I had
my
to wait
question.
I had to wait for Adam to not know it, and then I was able to steal it.
But isn't that
Not
already
waiting
assumed?
for me. This is a given.
Because I knew Davin was going to steal it if I did it. So it was like we were mostly.
I've only watched that trivia things a couple times. So when Adam's up, do you guys give him the same amount of time, or do you just automatically assume he doesn't know it and move on?
And they were getting pretty aggressive there, Jody.
They were getting aggressive, yeah. Especially
like,
Davin. Davin was jumping in like the second the question was even said.
I had to fight for my title. I couldn't let him like, you know.
Oh, I
drop
totally
it.
understand
Like
what you
Kevin say, yes, I'll do it, and I'm gonna gracefully bow in.
If it was a different panel, maybe it would go a different way.
Ashley does some insane questions though, so I was like, she was stumping me even. I was like, oh geez. And the fact that she could stump you, Dave, I think is impressive as well, because you
just
are a wiki.
I got to work harder.
Star Trek knowledge.
I got to work harder at it. There was things I got wrong, and that's not acceptable. So
Yeah, we were all disappointed in you, Dave.
I know you're right.
I was disappointed, but I was also still happy to see that you were still the champ. So.
Yeah, right. Also,
Spoiler alert.
look out. We're going to be doing another edition of Star Trek Radio Theater. Recently, we did North Star from Enterprise's third season, and we will
the only
be
thing
back.
that makes that episode good is the radio theater.
Yeah. Well, you know, and well, watch out. We're doing Star Trek Generations on December 29th.
I heard from Heather today. She
Me
reached
too.
out and asked us if we wanted to be on, or asked me.
I got asked for a part.
Are you confirmed yet, Adam?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, because I think I have to slot you in. So watch out.
You got me in though, right?
Yeah, you're in. Yeah.
Yeah, I already know who I'm playing. So
Yeah.
That was a given.
I'll be playing Mr. Tricorder. So watch out.
Are you?
Yeah.
Those precious little life forms.
Precious little life forms.
Do,
Yeah.
do, do.
All that's coming from me this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cast is still coming together, and we're waiting on a couple things to confirm, but it's almost figured out.
I'm sure I'm gonna have more than one role, but
You're also Ensign Hayes. Get ready,
who the fuck
So
is
what is Jody? What's his primary role?
Scotty.
Scotty?
Uh,
So I only have to work for like 10 minutes and then I'm good.
You're right.
Because he's literally only in it for like 10 minutes and then that's it.
He has a lot to do in those first 10 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot more dialogue. I actually started watching Generations today again, just to see what kind of dialogue there was. There's a lot more dialogue than I thought there was.
Yeah. You know, there's some action in that first scene and whatever. Yeah. So I think that movie is underrated, actually. You know, so it's.
I think it got a lot of hate, but I also think for you had to make a bridge movie. Like there had to be a movie that bridged the two series together. I don't think they could have just went right into Next Gen. I think they have to bridge it somehow.
I love that.
I think they totally could have.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good episode, but they totally could have. That was a Next Gen movie. Like it.
Well, it's definitely a Next Gen movie. We already know that. That's why there's not too much previous gen in it.
But I guess this idea, can you bring Kirk and Picard together in a movie, and how do you do that? And I think they do a pretty decent job of, you know.
Yeah, and then later on they gave us what an 8-minute short with no dialogue to explain the rest, or
yeah, which everyone understood, no problems. And,
the only thing I got out of that was the guy in the middle is fucking annoying, and that's all I got. So
middle guy, yeah.
Middle guy.
Watch out. Here's our promotional poster for this upcoming script read. So
Mr. Tricorder. I love that. Anyway, you know what? We have a lot of fun on the channel, and we have a whole bunch of other shows, which we'll see in the crawl at the end. But anybody have any final thoughts on this episode before we close the deal here?
No!
The one thing I thought we would also do is after we finish this season, I think we'll take a hiatus until middle of January.
After we finish up season 2? Okay.
Yeah, because we only have 2 more episodes after this, and then we can have a couple weeks off for the holidays,
Christmas and all that.
Okay. That way people don't feel rushed. So we'll do that. But anyway, I don't know what Sam's going to do at this time, but I'm sure he'll figure out something.
So I have an idea. He could watch Gilligan's Island reruns.
He could start his Gilligan's Island podcast.
I'd join him on them. It's on Tubi right now.
Gilligan, a skipper too.
Beam up some.
You know what? No. Anyway, live long and podcast, everyone.
See everyone.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.